Hey guys, Scott here. This is mostly meant as kind of a video for Tru3ta1ent, specifically. Um, I would like to do this in sort of like a live debate form because I always really find that entertaining. But I think I've seen on his stream a couple times he's not super into the idea of doing it. If I'm wrong, please shut me up and let's do it because that sounds fun. But I thought I would just record it like this. I get it. We're both very stubborn. So perhaps two brick walls smashing into each other for an hour. I understand why you not want to do it, so it's totally fine. That's why I thought I would make this video as sort of a direct message to you, and it's something that you can respond to as well, or ignore it, tell me to fuck off, whatever. I just want to air it because I also want to address the mindset that you have, because it's something that, your viewers tend to share. Content creators tend to rub off on their viewers. That's just how it happens. So I do want this to be available to more than just you. And it's about the whole, your view on Survive with Friends. Basically, all this came about, your suggestion for nerfing Survive with Friends at all is making gens take longer if you're in a Survive with Friends group. And I think that is really not a good idea. And luckily, it seems like most of the community agrees that that's not the best way to do it. The way I do it is I would, buff solo queue to the level of, Survive with Friends, while, maybe bringing Survive with Friends back a little bit in some way. But you would give the killer more information. Like, you would make it so the killer can tell who is in a Survive with Friends before the lobby starts. That way he might put on a spicier build, stronger add-ons. He might not fuck around. He'll know that you'll know more information. Just give the killer some information as well, right? But, there is a whole debate on how to handle that. And we could talk about that for hours. But the thing you suggested, making gens simply take longer if you're in a group, I think is a really bad way to go about doing it. And I want to go over that with examples of why that is not a good idea. So let's look at this match. I picked two matches from your last stream, or last two streams. I picked matches that you lost because, no offense, that is when you would tend to air your grievances about Survive with Friends the most. So it's the most applicable to this topic because this is when you're talking about Survive with Friends. So I picked these two matches. And let's see if we apply your game delay and gens take longer if you're in a group to this match. So I'm not going to go and critique your performance in the entire match. No one wants to hear that. But at the end of the day, this match, it took them 12 minutes to do all the generators. Let's say we do like a 10% debuff for Survive with Friends like you're suggesting. I don't know what number exactly you're suggesting, but let's say we do that. That would basically be 10%, 8, and then 5, so 40 seconds of additional time, right? So 12 minutes versus 12 minutes and 40 seconds. That would be basically the difference. But the thing is, though, at the end of this match, you still had like 5 or 6 hooks with all the gens done. 40 additional seconds is not going to do anything for you. If you're going to lose the match, typically 40 seconds is not going to really change that much. The reason you lost this match is you played like shit. And that's not to say you're a shit player or anything like that. Everyone has bad games. No one is ever meant to be a perfect player. That's ridiculous. That's not even a realistic thing. But you did play like shit this game. You missed a lot of blinks. A lot of chases just ended without downs. You kicked a lot of gens. You made a lot of mistakes this game, and that's why you lost. Because at the end of the day, if you have a 12-minute match as Nurse with Rune, Tinkerer, Pop, and Corrupt, and you don't kill everybody, you played badly. That's it. There's pretty much no example, even if it's a survivor, even if it's a competitive pro team. The only reason they last long enough to survive against Nurse is because the match doesn't last long enough for that to really matter. So I feel like I just have to say that. If you have a 12-minute match as Nurse and everyone's not dead, it's because you played badly. And again, that's okay. But you kind of have to admit that perhaps you had something to do with it specifically. It's not necessarily Survive with Friends or anything like that. So in this scenario, if there was 40 more seconds added to the end of the match because you penalized everyone for playing in a group, you would still be in the same spot. You might get one more hook. At the end of the day, you still lost the game. You would have still lost. So it's just a net loss for everybody. The people in the game had to sit, do the least fun thing in the game more, which is just sit on gens and repair them. So they're mad. You still lost the game, so you're still upset. No one's happier in this scenario. It doesn't actually do anything. And I think that's kind of the problem here. And this is a bit more of a personal topic, at least with you as a streamer. In these scenarios, I don't think you set a really good example for having a good mindset on the game, because in examples like this, at the end of the video, you accuse them of being a Survive with Friends group. You say they're a high caliber Survive with Friends group. So even if we had all of that game delay stuff, and it obviously it wouldn't have mattered because you still would have lost this game, but you keep saying this is a high caliber Survive with Friends, but I checked. They weren't a Survive with Friends. I added 2 people. They were both solos. There was a group of 2. There was a duo, the 2 Russian players. And one of them was on console and just started playing the game, and April 23rd was their first trophy on their PSN account. So they have 2 months in the game. These are not top-tier, high-caliber teams in a 4-man Survive with Friends. This is just a normal game of DBD, and you played like shit. It happens. But I think the mindset you have to immediately say that, you tend to diminish my arguments quite a bit by saying I don't understand because I don't go against the teams that you do. I do. You just overestimate the people that you're going against. One of them literally had 3 months in the game, and it was just 2 solos and then a 2-man. This is not a crazy match of DBD. This is pretty normal. But you tend to drum it up a bit, and your chat says, wow, Survive with Friends OP, because you say that. You say, oh, look, they're body blocking at the end. They must be Survive with Friends. And it leads to this echo chamber effect where you just all keep telling each other Survive with Friends OP, they're super high caliber, esports pro squads. God, one of your guys in your chat said that. I don't even think you'd agree with that. But, like, you contribute to it a little bit. And I think that's not a good attitude to have. Now, sometimes taking it too far in the other direction, like sometimes I bend over and take it in the ass from behavior. Sometimes I excuse things that are clearly problems with the game because I just don't care that much. It's a video game. And that's not the best idea either. But I think I would prefer that, and I think most people would prefer that, rather than just blaming Survive with Friends and, everyone's like a top-tier player, instead of just admitting you kind of made some mistakes. Because in this scenario, they weren't Survive with Friends. You had no proof of that. And you just said, like, I don't think you're going out of your way to lie. I don't think you're going, I'm going to trick my viewers. I'm going to say this is a 4-man pro squad. I don't think you're doing that. I don't think you're a bad person or anything like that at all. I think you introduce the possibility that it is a Survive with Friends by mentioning Survive with Friends quite a bit. And then you don't really correct it. You just sort of let it sit. And then your chat does the rest for you. And I don't know, man. It makes me sad when I see that, because you didn't lose this game because of Survive with Friends. You lost because you played bad. That's it. That's the only possible explanation. Even if this was a God squad, you still should have won in 12 minutes. And again, that's okay. Having bad games is fine. Everyone has bad games, but at least look inward a bit more and, try to blame yourself. Because I've seen you say you admit you make mistakes a lot. But a lot of the time when you get beaten and people in chat call you out, hey, watch the VOD, go over your mistakes, you are really sarcastic and you scoff at it like, how could I be making mistakes? I have 5,600 hours. Yeah, okay, sure, it's my fault. You answer it like that. It's just a dick way to answer it. Just don't do that. It's possible you made mistakes. Just say that. And you have admitted that you made mistakes before, and that's great. But I have seen you scoff on more than one occasion when you make a lot of mistakes. And I don't know, man, it's just like, it just doesn't seem like a good attitude to spread to people. I'm not going to tell you how to run your stream or anything like that, but it just seems like, I don't know. It just seems like not a good way to do it. So let's go over the other one, because this is more applicable, I think, to what you're talking about. This is that match that you had. You were playing Plague on Thompson House. And this is more, I think, accurate to what you're talking about. Because I checked, this was a 4-man Survive with Friends, and they were good. This was a very good team. So your complaints here are actually making a lot more sense. The thing is, though, if you watch this match, you still make a shit ton of mistakes in this one, too. You call a long wall short wall a god pallet at one point. You respect a 360 so hard that you just let her run away and get to a pallet. Like, you do a lot of mistakes in this match. But to your credit, this is a very, very good team. I didn't really see any weak links here. So this is more applicable to what you're talking about. This is where, apply that penalty, right? But again, in this match, you didn't get a single hook with all the gens done. If you had 40 seconds on top of that, what does that do? You just lose 40 seconds later. It doesn't change anything. So I think addressing Survive with Friends like that, you're not really fixing the problem. You're just making your loss take a little bit longer. It's not really going to change much. And typically, the people that it will affect are people that you were probably going to beat anyway, because they're just friends that just want to play together. And your changes really only affect people that play like that. So I don't understand where you think that's actually going to fix anything, because here's the perfect example where that additional 40 seconds would not have mattered. So the reason you lost this game is not because of Survive with Friends. The reason you lost this game is because, yeah, you made a couple mistakes. That's one thing. But you got kind of a bad map layout, and you're playing Plague, and they're very good. They were a very good team. This is the scariest thing in the game to me, not Survive with Friends. I couldn't give less of a shit about Survive with Friends. 9 times out of 10, they're not even good at the game. They're just friends having fun. These guys were Survive with Friends. I don't know if they were in comms or not, but they were all individually good survivors. That's what I fear the most. No weak links equals you're pretty fucked if you're not like Nurse or Spirit. And that's a shitty feeling. But Here's the most important part, I think, of this whole video that really hammers in my point. Yeah, you lost because it's, this is pretty unfair. But the thing is, it had nothing to do with Survive with Friends. I watched this VOD several times. I checked like everything that happened, every chase. I analyzed everything that happened in it. Not a single time in this entire match was there one thing that Survive with Friends gave them an advantage with. Like, think about it. What does Survive with Friends give you an advantage with? Well, it lets you know, like, you can share the killer's perks. You can let you know who dropped which pallets where, which areas are dead zones. People are on the hook. You can send, hey, you go save. I'm going to work on gens. You can be more efficient by doing that. So you can keep people, only one goes to save, because that's a common problem in solo queue. You have a lot of people going for save, miscommunication, things like that. But with Survive with Friends, you can communicate all that, right? None of that mattered this game. You basically chased two people this whole game. Your perks were already known. Totems being spotted by people didn't matter because, as you saw earlier, your rune spawned, unfortunately, right on top of a generator. So that's just bad map design, which I'll agree with you all day about. So that didn't matter. Your perks were, people can know what your perks are. They can see Thanatophobia as soon as someone's injured. They know you have Corrupt. They know you had Rune because they can see it as soon as they get off a gen. The only one they don't know about is Pop, but you don't really hook anybody, so Pop doesn't matter. So communicating your perks didn't matter. There was no Survive with Friends benefit this entire match. There was no pallet call out because like 2 pallets were used the entire match. Nothing actually benefited them from having communication this entire match. So I don't know why you want to take out your, balancing rage on this type of shit. And I think this is a huge problem. A lot of killers do this too. It's not just you. It's a lot of people. They will say, I lost because of Survive with Friends, when if you really analyze what happened, it had nothing to do with Survive with Friends. It had everything to do with the fact that you were on a not a great map with Plague, and they were all very good survivors. Their communication was irrelevant. They didn't have to communicate a single thing here because you didn't actually hook anybody. There was no, hey, I'm going to go save. None of that stuff. None of it mattered. So in this scenario, Survive with Friends doesn't matter. You were just going to lose anyway because they're just 4 very good players. You're playing not a super great killer, and you made a lot of mistakes. And that's why I think trying to make everyone else's games worse, it's not only will it not fix anything, it'll just make everything worse for everybody. Like, I don't know what the point of it is. And I think buffing solo queue is the better idea because solo queue is the weakest thing in the game. At least in my opinion, that's solo queue can be rough. So introducing like a ping system for solo queue would be great. And then in doing that, you can let killers know like who's in a group, so the killer can react accordingly. They can try a bit. They can be a bit sweatier. They might slug more. They might put on NOED or better add-ons. They can have some information because getting a 4-man Survive with Friends is not so bad, but when you're unprepared for it, then it can feel really, really bad. But even then, a lot of the time, it has nothing to do with the fact they're Survive with Friends. It's the fact that a lot of the time, or some of the time, they're just good survivors. 4 good survivors, that is scary. That's rough. In this scenario, and in most other scenarios, it's not Survive with Friends. I see so many times people like complain about Survive with Friends, and then you check the actual video, and they just chase one guy the entire match as if their 3 teammates have any impact on anything that he's communicating. It doesn't matter. And I think that's, the main thing that you're missing. You think every time, not every time, a lot of the time when you lose, it's because the comms and stuff like that, but it doesn't fucking matter. In any of these scenarios, it just doesn't matter. You just lost because you didn't play well. It was a bad map, and they're really good. That's it. And you're not playing a really great killer. So that's, I guess, the main thing I wanted to talk about. Certainly very ranty. I totally, if you would like to discuss things on your, I'll even come on your stream. I'll go in the bullpen. I'm totally okay with that. That's fine. I don't know. I had to air out a lot of stuff. I think that way of fixing Survive with Friends is a really, really bad idea. It seems like most people agree it's not a good idea, which is good. Ugh. But, yeah, I think that's it. Again, I don't know if you'll ever watch this, but I think people that have the same mindset could benefit from this, and that's really it. I just want, I don't know. I complain a lot, but it's usually about bugs and things like that. I don't complain about the community like at all. It's just the bugs and stuff like that, which are typically frustrating. And map design, like we can find so much common ground on like map design being a lot of the reasons that you lose with some of these matches because you give survivors good setups, and man, if you're not a good killer, it's rough. But basically, none of this has to do with Survive with Friends, and I think that's the main point I wanted to make. So that's it. Rant over. Yeah, take it easy, guys.